question that is commonly asked in the interviews. The question is about conflict management. So, what is the motive behind asking this question?
Okay, so a conflict ideally is like a difference of opinion between two people, right? Due to which a spur of events happen, leading to conflicts, leading to fights, or not really fist fights. Okay, we are not speaking about people having fist fights. It's about having difference of opinions while people are talking to each other, right? Now that is something that would lead ideally into a conflict. Now what the interviewer wants to see in these scenarios is whether you have come across this situation, and not 99 but 100% of the people come across this situation, right? So the interviewer wants to see whether you have come across this situation and what is your problem solving capability in this particular situation. So how have you solved the problem, right? So that is something which an interviewer sees. Now let me tell you, there is a very different way in which I ask these questions. I'll quote this with an example, right, of the way I ask this particular question and the funny responses that I have received on these questions, right? So on the interviews that I take, the question is more or less like, say if you're shortlisted for this particular role and if we select you, you join the organization, and say day 15, day 20 or so, you're working, your training is complete, you've started working, and two of your colleagues who have gone out for lunch come back from lunch, and they are really annoyed, and they are into a very heated argument about a very simple thing, and that is, was the biryani good or bad in the cafeteria? So there's one person who's saying the biryani was fantastic, and the other person says that I have not tasted a more pathetic biryani than this. And that is becoming a heated issue. So what will you do in this? Now this is a question I pose to most of the freshers. Now believe me, the kind of responses that I have received is that I myself will go to the cafeteria, eat biryani, and then decide whom I should support. Yeah. So yeah, and I also have received responses which is like, I will go and tell them that I have eaten biryani over there in the past and it is good. Right? So you need to understand one thing, that different people, different taste buds.
Correct.
So it is okay for somebody to like a biryani as someone to dislike it. Right? So how would you tackle this situation? The expected answer that I would have for this particular situation is, wherein I would say that, assume I was the candidate, I would say that I would walk up to both of my friends and I'll tell them that, you know what, I understand that the biryani has been good or bad, does not matter. That is a topic which you have to leave in the cafeteria. Let's not impact work. Right? Because when you're on the production floor, you need to be working. You need to be giving your 100% towards work.
बिरयानी कैसी है, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
क्या फर्क पड़ता है? That really doesn't matter, right? कि बिरयानी का टेस्ट कैसा है और क्या है. And you can always go ahead and continue your discussion or so-called conflict during your break time, right? Where you have a difference of opinion. So I think that is something which would be expected from a candidate, where the candidate has shown the problem-solving ability and has also directed both these guys in the right direction. Where the candidate has said ki, okay, fine, biryani was good or bad, doesn't really matter, let's go back to work. We can always discuss this later. Yeah, so I think
conflict को resolve करने वाला बंदा है या आग में घी डालने वाला बंदा है?
Exactly, आग में घी डालने वाला बंदा कौन होगा जो बोलेगा नहीं ये बिरयानी तो बहुत बढ़िया था, मैंने खाया है, कल खाया है, बहुत ही टेस्टी था. So you have that kind of a person जो आग में घी. Now there is a third kind of a response, a funny response that you can actually receive is that if these two people are fighting about a biryani, I will raise it across to my manager. What do you expect the manager to do? Do you expect the manager to go and taste the biryani and come back and take a decision? I mean, come on.
That's not a solution.
Correct. These are very small things. These are very kiddish things, right? Which you don't have to raise. And this is specifically for freshers when they have to come into the industry and they have to understand how conflicts work. Now, for people who are tenured, conflicts can be slightly different. In many cases, it is kiddish, believe me. In many other cases, conflicts are slightly different in terms of projects where I have a difference of opinion on a project that a person is actually doing. Now I raise it as a concern, or I discuss it with the person who is working on the project, and say for example we are working together. I think 99.9% of the problems can be solved if you are able to discuss it. Now I'll quote this with an example, and this is an example that I give to a lot of my teams, right? Say in case if we have a difference of opinion, if you and me are completely in disagreement, the way you have to look at it is that there is a huge cupboard in front of us, a hollow cupboard, and that is filled with balloons. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to be the first person to break the first balloon by saying that the reason I did not like this was because yesterday I asked you to come with me for a break and you did not come. What happens is you will break a balloon from your end and you will say that the reason I didn't come with you for a break yesterday was because day before yesterday I asked you for an ice cream and you did not treat me with it. I will break up. So believe me, when we both start speaking to each other and we both start breaking those balloons, right? There will be a point in time where we will be able to see each other because it's a hollow cupboard, right? And that is the time where relationships will get much stronger. So I think when it comes to conflicts for tenured people, the simple way that they have to answer it is by giving an example of the challenge that they have faced and how did they mitigate it. Not by reaching out to their manager, but mitigate it by speaking to their colleagues. Working towards the betterment of the process.
Okay. So when a tenured guy, a tenured girl or a guy, when they give an example, so does it have to be limited to their work life, or can they give example from their entire life, like when they were in college or when they were a student?
Yeah, so if you're going for an interview and there is somebody who's tenured, the expectation that the interviewer will have would be to give an example of your work life, right? But if you're a fresher, the expectation will be to give something which is a conflict. It does not really from your real life, right? So but somebody who's tenured and experienced, the expectation ideally would be for you to give an experience of would be for you to share an experience of a work experience that you've had in the past. Yeah.
So what are the different ways in which this question might be asked?
Okay, so I think there wouldn't be too many ways in which this question can ideally be asked. One is obviously where they ask you the direct question, which is like, can you tell us about a conflict that you have faced in the past and how have you worked on it or how have you mitigated it, right? That could be one straight way of asking this particular question. The second way is where the interviewer possibly would give you an example, the way I did, right, a while back. The interviewer might give you an example of a situation and ask you as to how would you manage this situation. So mainly it would be these one or two ways in which the interviewer would ask you this particular question. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you have found it helpful and insightful. If you have, do not forget to click on the like button and subscribe and hit the bell icon too, so that you get to know about all the future videos that we would be uploading. And do not forget to share it with all of your friends who need support in tackling interviews. All the best.